Much your Panchatattva prayers at the end were out of this world. Yes, that is the prayer we should. काफी आचार्य बोलते हैं कि हमें we should recite the prayers to the acharyas in the morning, first thing when you wake up. And Panchatattva prayer is very nice because it has Panchatattva of the Lord, so we can always recite this prayer. Thank you so much. Okay, I think we'll continue. It's a small group today, but we can still read. Anyway, this will be recorded, so whoever wants to listen or catch up can do that. So we'll start with prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashat Deshitarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we are continuing with our prayer of the week, which is Shri Govardhanashtakam Ki Jai. Okay, let's sing. Mataji, would you like to try today? Singing? Kishori Radha Mataji? If not, then I'll continue. Okay, let me continue. So I'll sing this prayer and then we'll read the translation. Krishna prasadena samasta shaila samrajamapnoti cha vairinopi shakrasya yah prapabalim sa sakshad govardhano me dishtam abhishtam swapreshthahastam bhujasau kumarya sukhanubhutirati vritte Mahindra Vajra Hatimapyajanan Govardhano me Dishatam Abhishtam Yatraiva Krishno Rishabhanuputrya Danam Grahitum Kalaham Vitene Shrute Sprihayatra Mahatyata Shri Govardhano me Dishatam Abhishtam Snatva Sarahasva Samira Hasti Yatraiva Nipadi Paragadhuli Alolayan Khelati Charu Sashri Govardhano me Dishatam Abhishtam Kasturikabhi Shaitam Kimatre Yuham Prabho Swasya Murvitanvan Naisargika Sviyashila Sugandhir Govardhano me Dishatam Abhishtam Vamsha Pratidhvanyanusaravatma Titrikshavo Yatra Harim Harinya Yantyo Labhante Nahi Vesmita Sa Govardhano me Dishatam Abhishtam Yatraiva Gangam Anunaviradham Aroya Madhye Tunimagna Nauka Krishno hi Radha Nugalo Babausa Govardhano me Dishatam Abhishtam Vina Bhavet Kim Haridasa Varya Padashrayam Bhaktirata Shrayami Yam Eva Sa Prema Nijeshayo Shri Govardhano me Dishatam Abhishtam Etad Pathedyo Haridasa Varya Mahanubhavashtakamardha Cheta Shri Radhika Madhavayo Padabja Tasyam Savindeda Chirena Sakshat Govardhano me Dishatam Abhishtam Govardhano me Dishatam Abhishtam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Govardhanashtakam ki jai, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Mahashaya ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so we'll read the translation. Prabhu ji, आप पढ़ेंगे ट्रांसलेशन प्रभु जी?
ये हम सेल फोन पर हैं, ये छोटा स्क्रीन पर, वो पुराता भी नहीं है।
ओके ठीक है, देन आई विल रीड।
हम
थैंक
कंप्यूटर पर नहीं है, सेल फोन पे हैं, वो पूरा स्क्रीन पे आता नहीं है। कोशिश किए थे पिछली बार।
ओके ओके श्योर प्रभु जी, थैंक यू। ओके ट्रांसलेशन। May Govardhan Hill, which by Krishna's mercy became the king of all mountains and received the respectful tribute of its arch enemy Indra, fulfill my desires. As it was held above the earth, it became so filled with happiness by experiencing the softness of its beloved Krishna's lotus hand, it did not even know it was being struck by Indra's thunderbolt. May Govardhan Hill fulfill my desire. Trying to collect a toll, Krishna quarreled there with King Rishabhanu's daughter. The personified Vedas yearned to listen to that quarrel. May Govardhan Hill fulfill my desire. Bathing in a nearby lake, the elephant of a pleasant breeze, covered with pollen of kadamba and other flowers, gracefully placed there. May Govardhan Hill fulfill my desire. Does the sweet fragrance of Govardhan come from the musk deer who relax there? From the Lord who plays there? Or is it Govardhan's own natural scent? May Govardhan Hill fulfill my desire. Searching there for Lord Hari on the path of his flute music, the astonished deer do not find him. May Govardhan Hill fulfill my desire. As the divine couple travelled on the Ganges there, the boat began to sink in the middle. Krishna was splendidly handsome as Radha clung to his neck. May Govardhan Hill fulfill my desire. Without taking shelter of the feet of the hill that is the best of Lord Hari's servants, and full of love for the divine king and queen, how is it possible to attain pure devotional service? May Govardhan Hill fulfill my desire. May the reader of these 8 verses, glorifying Lord Hari's greatest servant, his heart melting with pure love, quickly attain direct service to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha Madhav ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Govardhanashtakam ki jai. Okay, yes, so we see from these wonderful prayers that by the mercy of our acharyas, we can develop some taste, develop a drop of faith in devotional service. And these acharyas are so kind that they've shared their heart with all of us. It's just that we need to take some time out to read and to meditate and follow those instructions. And Prabhupada also, as a pure devotee, you know, previous acharyas had given, in forms of scriptures. Every acharya, um, in our Guru Parampara, everybody has their contributions. So, like that, Srila Prabhupada, like these acharyas have given the prayers, Prabhupada is now just repeating as it is. So, that is Prabhupada's contribution. He has taught us how to repeat, how to read, how to preach as it is. And Prabhupada is traveling all over the world, taking this message of Krishna consciousness, taking the mood and mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and distributing this pure love, whether be it in temples, centers, colleges, universities, or even in aircraft. Like we saw yesterday, he was in the aeroplane and traveling, and even there, he's preaching the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to that flight supervisor who had some inquisitive questions about life, about good versus evil, who created evil, and what is the peace formula, for which Prabhupada explains the Bhagavad Gita shloka from the 5th chapter. Bhaktaram Yagyatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhridam Sarvabhutanam Nyatmam Shantim Rachati, which is, Prabhupada labels it as the peace formula. So if somebody knows that Krishna is ultimately the beneficiary of all sacrifices, austerities, penances, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, he is the supreme lord of all the planets and all the demigods. And Suhrida Sarvabhutanam, he is the benefactor and beneficiary of all living entities. Then, knowing this, knowing him in pure full consciousness, then a living entity attains eternal peace. Yatmam Shantim Rachati. So nicely, everything is there in our scriptures, and these acharyas, they make it easy for us to understand. Of course, they all gave, previous predecessor acharyas gave all this knowledge, but Prabhupada made it so simple and easy for all of us to understand through his Bhaktivedanta purports, and so painstakingly translating, transcribing word for word, giving us the translation, giving us the deeper purports of all these verses based on the commentaries from predecessor acharyas in a language that we all can understand, the whole world can understand. English, which is the most popular language of the world. So he made it accessible to all of us. And of course, now his disciples have taken it step forward and they have translated it to all the other languages of the world also. So that nobody should be missed. Like Prabhupada said, everybody in the world should be Krishna consciousness. Like he was saying to those professors yesterday who came, Dr. Hopkins, and why don't you join us? Everyone in America should be initiated. So like that, taking that same mood of Srila Prabhupada, his disciples have spread this Krishna consciousness all over the world by translating these wonderful scriptures that Prabhupada gave us into other languages, be it Italian, Russian, French, whatnot. Even some languages that only 5,000 people in the world speak, even in those languages, Srila Prabhupada's books have been translated. So, okay, so let's continue. We are continuing from here. Prabhupada is telling them that who should become a guru or who should be a guru. Guru is one who is following these instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as it is, again, right, without any adulteration. And he's saying that I'm a representative of Krishna, and those who just say that I'm a guru, I'm a representative of Krishna, that is not true guru, but true guru is one who is following the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as it is. Samarya Agyaya Guru Haya Tara Edesh. You just become guru on my order. So guru means he who is carrying out the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not self-made guru. Srila Prabhupada said that sometimes people gave him much credit for having done a wonderful thing for the whole world, but he confessed, I do not know that I am a wonderful man, but I know one thing, that I am speaking what Krishna has spoken. That's all. I am not making any addition or alteration. I am presenting Bhagavad Gita as it is. This credit I can take. Prabhupada continued to stress that the guru must repeat the message of Krishna. If a so-called guru wanted to be a cheater, that was a different thing. There would always be cheaters and people who wanted to be cheated. Usually such gurus cheated by accepting disciples without ordering them to stop sinful acts. If I say that you can do all nonsense, Prabhupada said, simply take this mantra and give me $125, they will like. So I would have collected millions of dollars. I would have cheated like that. If I would have cheated like that. But I do not want that. I want one student who follows my instructions. I don't want millions. Ekash chandras tamo hanti na cha tarah sahasrashah. If there is one moon in the sky, that is sufficient for illumination. There is no need of millions of stars. My position is that I want to see that at least one disciple has become a pure devotee. Of course, I have got many sincere and pure devotees. That is my good luck. But I would have been satisfied if I could find out only one. There is no need of millions of stars. Due to zoning restrictions, the devotees were not allowed to use the Berkeley temple as a residence. But since no suitable rooms were immediately available in the neighborhood, the devotees decided to accommodate Srila Prabhupada and his personal staff in the temple for the few days of his visit, hoping the authorities wouldn't find out. But on the first night at 2 a.m., the police came by to check. Srila Prabhupada was already up working at his Bhagavatam translation when the police knocked loudly on the outside door near his room. Young Mike, who was to receive initiation in a few days, had been posted as a guard. He opened the door and 3 flashlights shone into his face. The officers entered and showed their credentials. You are not supposed to be sleeping in here, one of them said roughly. I wasn't, said Mike. Come on, we saw you in your sleeping bag. No, Mike protested. I was just lying there because I'm guarding my spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada could easily hear the disturbance just outside his room. Other devotees who were spending the night in the building with Prabhupada came out of their rooms and tried reasoning with the officers about the special occasion of the spiritual master's visit. One of the policemen began roaming around, checking in corners with his flashlight, opening doors. Now all the devotees in the building, about half a dozen, were standing with the policeman in the hall outside Srila Prabhupada's room. Where is the old man? One of the policemen asked. Bahulaswa, the temple president, requested them not to disturb Srila Prabhupada, but the policemen made no attempt at politeness. They were, in fact, overly nasty. One policeman banged on the window to Prabhupada's room. Don't disturb him, Bahulashva requested. He is a very elderly man. He is not sleeping. These are the hours in which he writes, and all these men are his personal entourage. They're staying here to help him. We are not violating the rules. Suddenly, one of the policemen opened Prabhupada's door and shone his light in on Prabhupada's face. All three policemen peered in, while Srila Prabhupada looked up at them, concerned, yet detached. The policeman shone his flashlight into the corners of Prabhupada's simple, dimly lit room. No one said anything, and after about 10 seconds, they shut the door. The police officers and the devotees continued arguing, the devotees contending that they were not using the building as a residence, the police citing infractions and taking down notes. Warning that they would be back, they finally left. The incident had constituted about a half-hour interruption of Prabhupada's work, but as the building became quiet again, Prabhupada continued translating the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam and speaking his purports into the dictating machine. Prabhupada agreed to hold a press conference. He welcomed regular opportunities to address the press, because even though their stories were often negative or dwelt on controversies, whatever truth the paper printed generally outweighed the damaging reports. The holy name of Krishna always appeared, and usually there would be a mention of Prabhupada's preaching or of Bhagavad Gita. Personal details about Prabhupada were generally not offensive. He no longer expected the press to print much of the Krishna consciousness philosophy, although occasionally some philosophy appeared. He would often request reporters to please report accurately and not misrepresent or skip over what he had said. The reporters, however, seemed to have a fascination for the trivial. In 1968, a reporter in Montreal had dwelt on Prabhupada's casual shoes. Hush-puppied high priest. Nevertheless, for Prabhupada, press interviews and press conferences were a way of preaching. The press conference was held in the temple and was attended by about a dozen reporters and photographers. Brahmananda Swami had the reporters write their questions on a piece of paper so that one of the devotees could read them to Prabhupada. Prabhupada asked the photographers not to take pictures during the conference since it would divert people's attention. Devotee. Srila Prabhupada, would you comment on opposition to the Hare Krishna movement in this country? Prabhupada, why should they oppose? What is the reason? If they are Christian or Jewish religious men, so we are advocating you chant the holy name of God. So why should there be objection? Is there any reason for such objection? What is the objection? Devotee. Some of the objections are that the followers of the Hare Krishna sect are on the streets or in the airports bothering people. Prabhupada. The airport itself is a botheration. So much sound, so much accident. So why this little botheration they cannot tolerate? That means intolerance. It is full of botheration. And because we are chanting, they are very much disturbed. We don't chant in the airport, but we ask people that. Here is a very good book. You will benefit. If you like, you can take. So what is the wrong there? Tell me, what is the wrong? If I give you something very nice, is that wrong? You read any book. We have got 50 books, and you find out any fault in that. If we are distributing some bad literature, which is against the social welfare, then you can object. But you see, bring all our books here and you will see. Any page you open, you will find something good. Why are you denying to distribute such literature for the benefit of the people in general? What is the wrong there? Devotee. One of the things that people say is that the devotees are asking for donations and not just distributing books, but asking for money. That's a bother. Prabhupada. But he pays. If he feels botheration, why does he pay? One who feels botheration does not pay. But one who thinks that here is a nice book, then he says, all right, let me take it. Why you take this botheration? If it is botheration, how they are purchasing? They are paying their money, hard-earned money. Do you think they are bothered and at the same time pay money? Prabhupada's sensible remark made the reporters laugh. Now they began questioning him directly. Reporter, what will happen to the movement in the United States when you die? Prabhupada, I will never die. Devotees, Jai Hari Bol. Prabhupada, I shall live from my books and you will utilize. Reporter, why does the Hare Krishna movement not engage in social protest? Prabhupada, we are the best social workers. People are fools and rascals, and we are teaching them nice idea of God consciousness. We are the best social workers. We will stop all crimes. What is your social work? Producing hippies and criminals? That is not social work. Social work means the population must be very peaceful, wise, intelligent, and God conscious. First class men. That is social work. If you produce some fourth class, fifth class, 10th class of men, what is social work? We are not producing that. Just see, here is a first class man. They do not have any bad habit. Illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling. They are all young men. They are not addicted to all these things. This is social work. When a reporter asked about the political effects of the Hare Krishna movement, Prabhupada said, if this God consciousness is spread, then everyone will be brilliantly qualified. Recalling a discussion from his morning walk on the campus of the University of California, Berkeley, he added, the students are studying psychology, but the result is that they are falling down from the tower in disappointment, and they have protected with glass. Bahulashva explained further what Prabhupada meant. In the bell tower on the Berkeley campus, students in the 60s would jump from that tower to kill themselves. So they put glass there to stop the students from jumping. So Prabhupada was explaining that this is their education, that after getting their education, they have to commit suicide. Brahmananda. Srila Prabhupada, one pressman wanted to know what is this Rath Yatra festival? Why is it going on over here in the Western world? Prabhupada, if God is the proprietor of everything, He is also the proprietor of the Western world. Is there any dispute? If you say God is the proprietor of the Western world, what is wrong there? So, if the Western world has forgotten God and He comes to remind them, what is the wrong? Reporter, but what is the purpose of the large carts and other things you use? Prabhupada, large cart means God is very great. He requires very great car. The devotees laugh. Why should he go in a small car? Prabhupada continued speaking until all questions were answered. Now, whatever the reporters would write was up to them, but Prabhupada had used the occasion for glorifying Lord Krishna and explaining his movement. Whether press conference, public festival, private conversation, or translating, his purpose was the same. During a morning walk on the Berkeley campus, Prabhupada pronounced that the nuclear war was inevitable. Devotees had brought up the topic of proliferation of atomic weapons. Russia has so many weapons. China has so many weapons. The United States has so much. Prabhupada, everyone now, India also. Devotee, they are all afraid of using them. Prabhupada, they must use it. That is nature's arrangement. Chuckling. That you all die. That is nature's arrangement. Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. When someone gets some power, he wants to try it out, just like there was that demon. Lord Shiva gave him power so that anyone's head he touched would fall off. Prabhupada, yes, just like in your country, there are so many cars, so that a poor man like me has car always, not an inch move on leg. But because there are so many cars, naturally they must be used. Similarly, there are so many weapons now that must be used. That is the natural sequence. They must use it. Bahulashva. That is why they have wars, just to use up the weapons. Prabhupada. Oh, yes. Devotee. The only difficulty is that for one person to use the atomic weapon, that means it would be the entire waste of mankind. So everyone is afraid of using the ultimate. Prabhupada. Anyway, they must be used. There's no doubt about it. Therefore, we can say there will be war. There is no astrology. It is a natural conclusion. Devotee. That will be total destruction. Prabhupada. Well, total or partial, that we shall see. But they must be used. Devotee. Under the threat of nuclear war, wouldn't Krishna consciousness be more easy to spread? Prabhupada. No. Threat is already there. But they are such fools that they are not afraid of the threat. Threat is already there. Everyone will die. That is the problem. But who is caring for this? They are avoiding this. They cannot take any anti-measures. Yadubara. So it will take a war to bring them to their senses a bit? Prabhupada. No, war is already going on, but they are so senseless that they will not come to this. They are so rascal, therefore they are described as mudha, all rascals. Tamal Krishna. It is very hard to preach to these fools, Prabhupada. Prabhupada. No, chant Hare Krishna, that will be sufficient. Srila Prabhupada had rarely been so conclusive about nuclear war. Earlier in the year, on a walk in Mayapur, he had discussed how there would be World War III, and that talk had become a sensation throughout ISKCON. But before, he had always offered the alternative. If the people of the world could take to Krishna consciousness, then the cumulative karma could be reversed. But now he said it was inevitable. While in Berkeley, Srila Prabhupada received a visit from Yogi Bhajan, founder of the HHH Foundation, Swami Chidananda, president of the Divine Life Society, and Jain leader Swami Sushil Muni, president of the World Fellowship of Religion. Swami Sushil wore a white turban and across his mouth a white mask. in the tradition of the non-violent Jains, who tried to avoid killing even airborne microbes. Yogi Bhajan, dressed in typical Sikh fashion of white turban and white loose-fitting garments, was accompanied by a few of his Western disciples, similarly attired. Visits from various swamis and yogis were not uncommon for Srila Prabhupada. Even when he did not agree with a particular philosophy, he was always the cordial host, pleasantly receiving guests in his simple quarters. In Hawaii, Yogi Bhajan had also visited Srila Prabhupada to invite him to his Unity of Man conference, which many sadhus were already scheduled to attend. Srila Prabhupada had spoken sternly, pointing out that simply gathering people at a meeting was not unity. Real unity could be achieved only if the participants of the meeting agreed to accept the authorized signs of God in the revealed scriptures. Now they had come to invite him to a second Unity of Man conference. Swami Sushil and Swami Chidananda were particularly enthusiastic in praising Srila Prabhupada and his ISKCON. Your movement is something different, said Swami Chidananda. It's going all over the world, and you have so many thousands of people all over the world. We can't describe it. It is so amazing. And in this age, how wonderfully it has been done. Without God's mercy, nothing could have been done. That 6 lakhs of magazines have come out and been distributed in 1 month, it is amazing. Swami Sushil added, you have established the same principles without any change here in a modern way. In Bengal, without your ashram, we couldn't have done anything. When we know there is an ashram of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we don't need to worry about anything. Where to stay? What strikes me is that you don't compromise anywhere. They mentioned the horrible sin of cow slaughter, and Srila Prabhupada told how his movement was protecting cows in New Vrindavan. When Swami Sushil asked how Prabhupada interested the young people in God, Prabhupada gave the example that the most popular sweet shop in Delhi was the one where everything was made with pure ghee. If the thing is good, Prabhupada said, then there won't be a shortage of customers. He further pointed out that his teachings were based purely on Bhagavad Gita, surrender to Krishna. When Swami Sushil asked how Prabhupada got his followers to take shelter of Krishna, Prabhupada replied, it is God who did it. God says, Mam Ekam Sharanam Braja. So that is our duty, just to take shelter of Him. Lord Chaitanya says, Yare Dekha, Tare Kaha, Krishna Upadesh. That is, whoever you meet, just preach the teachings of Krishna as in the Bhagavad Gita. I don't have any Upadesh instructions. It is just Krishna's Upadesh. We are all foolish. We can't have any Upadesh. So what are the teachings of Krishna? We just keep on saying them. Krishna says to do like that. And that's what we do. So this is our secret. I do this and that's what I teach to all these people. I am totally against manufactured religion. Evam parampara praptam. Just as Krishna says. In reply to Swami Sushil's question of how people could be brought together, Prabhupada quoted a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam that lists many races of the world and explains that all of them can be purified by taking shelter of Krishna's pure devotee. Prabhupada's guests again invited him to their conference, and Swami Sushil added, we were very glad to meet you today. We would like to call you sometime in our meeting of Yoga Dharma. We will come, said Prabhupada. What about your fellowship? It's called Word Fellowship of Religion, said Swami Siddhananda. Yogiji has made this Unity of Man conference, but we invited him, said Yogi Bhajan, referring to the previous invitation. Swami Siddhananda, but now you are having the second one. Yogi Bhajan, yes, the second meeting is in Mexico. We will call him then as well. Srila Prabhupada smiled and said, I told you before there is not going to be any unity. This candid remark made them laugh. You say, said Swami Chidananda, remembering Prabhupada's analysis, that until everyone is God-minded, until then. When God will desire, said Yogi Bhajan, then everyone will become God-minded. What's the great deal about it? God himself says, said Srila Prabhupada, Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. There is suffering. You cannot stay in this world. You have to leave. The main problem is birth, old age, disease, and death. So we are not anxious to adjust these things here. But these are the real problems. What can we do about birth, old age, disease, and death? Asked Swami Chidananda. Srila Prabhupada continued preaching Bhagavad Gita. Without overtly disagreeing, Prabhupada's guests inquired and listened with respect, considering him a great spiritual leader, potent in spreading Hindu Dharma. He is great, said Yogi Bhajan. That's what I want to learn. How can he do that? The conversation turned and Prabhupada mentioned that Yogi Bhajan was from the Sikh community, which is famous for its brave fighters. When the British people were defeated, said Srila Prabhupada, it was by the Sikh people. I have seen it. It is due to the Sikhs only. The Sikhs are Kshatriyas. Some of them are Brahmanas, Brahmana Kshatriyas. Swami Sushil, yes, I said to some of my students that you go to Prabhupada ji and he will make you Brahmana Kshatriyas. Prabhupada, yes, let us cooperate like that. You take the work of Kshatriyas and we take the work of Brahmanas. For Brahmanas we need brain and for Kshatriyas we need strength. As they spoke about non-violence, Srila Prabhupada argued that if one does not become God conscious, then he will undoubtedly be committing himsa or violence. Yogi Bhajan, yes, When they come to their senses, then they remember God. Prabhupada laughing. Here in the West, there is only Himsa, nothing else. Prabhupada's guests laughed with him. Afterward, they took some photographs and Srila Prabhupada invited them, along with some of his disciples, to sit and take Krishna Prasadam together. Srila Prabhupada requested his guests to attend the San Francisco Rath Yatra to be held the next day, and they agreed. Okay, so this is only one more paragraph. Yeah. So July 20, 1975. This was not only the largest ISKCON Rath Yatra ever, but also the largest gathering of devotees to date, larger even than the international gathering at Mayapur earlier that year. Preparations at the festival site had expanded to include prasadam booths, DT paraphernalia displays, souvenirs, and Prabhupada's books. Thousands joined the more than 800 devotees in procession through Golden Gate Park. Because the builders of the carts had decided to make steel wheels instead of the usual wooden ones, difficulty arose. Srila Prabhupada had warned them, "This is your American disease, always changing. Do not change the old design." But they had already done it. Riding in Subhadra's cart, which had wooden wheels, Srila Prabhupada experienced no personal inconvenience. The other two carts, however, did not fare so well. They began to vibrate so severely that support beams had to be added to the spokes during the procession. Soon the wheels became mishappen and they creaked and rattled as though about to collapse. But somehow, after much difficulty, all three carts completed the course. In the midst of the Rath Yatra activities, one of the devotees asked Srila Prabhupada if he had ever attended the Rath Yatra festival in Jagannath Puri. "No," Prabhupada replied. "I was having my own Rath Yatra." Hari Bol. Okay. Yeah, so many things is action packed with Prabhupada. Every day is every day, like say in Golok, every step is a dance, every word is a song, and every day is a celebration, like that. When Prabhupada is around, every day is a celebration, every day is an adventure. How many people he's talking to, where he's traveling, and be it again young, old, rich, poor, these people from different faith, reporters, you know, religious people came, but he was always a cordial host, like it was mentioned, always welcoming everybody with respect and treating everybody with respect. And but yeah, Prabhupada had his message was always pure. His message was always, like he said, he gave that example of the sweet shop, sweet shop that is selling the purest, product made of pure ghee. Then doesn't matter even if it is very pricey. That is where the customers will go. So Prabhupada says, doesn't matter even if you don't have too many things, right? Like he was giving the example of the Ekachandras. So one moon is sufficient to illuminate the sky. You don't need millions of stars. Like that, he said, even if one disciple becomes a pure devotee, though he acknowledged that all of his disciples were sincere and they were pure devotees. So yeah, unfortunately, there are some people today who think that, only Prabhupada was the initiating guru of ISKCON. Nobody else could be. So that's the Ritvik philosophy. Um, so again, they are following all the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, but one philosophical misunderstanding. The Prabhupada himself is saying that he has so many disciples, and by, he's lucky that Krishna has, and his spiritual master Bhakti Siddhanta has sent these nice, wonderful boys and girls. Prabhupada is calling them as pure devotees. So, that is the potency of a pure devotee, that he can create pure devotees, by just his potency. Because Krishna says Aham Bhakta Paradhino. So Krishna is also under the influence, under the control of his pure devotees. So why can't a pure devotee create so many pure devotees? So if we say that there's nobody other pure devotee besides Prabhupada, then that is completely ignoring Prabhupada's direct statement, and also kind of offending, a pure Vaishnava, because we are kind of blaspheming the work that he has done to create all these sincere disciples. So that is why it's important that we should understand not just the words as it is, but also the mood and the mission of Prabhupada and what he wanted to accomplish, and how he said this movement will continue for the next 10,000 years. And it is all evam parampara praptam. It has been coming in the disciplic succession. So Prabhupada keeps saying that again and again. So it is very, very obvious, what was his instruction of how this movement should be carried forward with cooperation. So we should also cooperate and take this forward if we have to please Srila Prabhupada. Today is actually the disappearance day of Srila Prabhupada. It's a very, very auspicious day. Um, so we will celebrate this evening Govardhan Puja and Prabhupada disappearance at our center. Thank you, Prabhuji and Mataji, for joining. So we'll wrap up here with Vaishnava Pranam prayers. Thank you. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की जय. शिला प्रभुपाद लीलामृत की जय. नीताई गौर प्रेमानंदे. हरि हरि बोल. हरे कृष्णा.
हरे कृष्ण।
जी.